Rodopis, the ancient Greek woman who built a pyramid. We know that the Greeks were said to be the first to build pyramids. We have an ancient pyramid that I've seen myself in Thebes. The Thebans from Greece, which is about an hour's drive north of Athens, Greece, were the ones who went to Egypt and Thebes and established a city there and built pyramids. Now we have pyramids all over the world, as we know. This is a story of a woman who built a pyramid. At the beginning of the 6th century BC lived a beautiful girl born in Thrace, which is northern Greece. Rodopis is her name, which means rosy-faced, who was the slave of a Sami philosopher, a philosopher from the island of Samos called Jadman. Coincidentally, he was a companion with the famous Aesop of Aesop's fables, and we know him from various children's stories. Now, it's said that she was originally called Eureka, according to others, Doric. Aesop makes a brief reference to her story that he had met her personally before she left for Egypt and had told her many stories. The philosopher freed the mythologist sold the girl to another Samian named Xanthos, who took her with him when he settled in Naucrati in Egypt and published her regularly, earning a lot of money. It was the time when the Pharaoh of the country was Amasis of the 22nd dynasty, who, relying on Charis, the Greek mercenaries, had granted to the latter important privileges, including substantial autonomy in the only Greek colony on Egyptian soil, Naucratis. A merchant from Mytilene, Lesbos, the island of Mytilene, of the northern Aegean, who has also settled there, Haraxus, or according to another version, Karassos. When he met Rodopis, he fell in love with her and offered Xanthos a huge amount of money. He released Rodopis, and Karassos or Haraxos took her home and left her in passion his for her. Haraxos arrived in Naucrati in Egypt to make a fortune with a ship full of wine from the island of Lesbos, Mytilene. His action to free a slave and fall in love with her, combined with his wasteful life and adventurous tendencies, had angered his sister, who was none other than the great poet Sappho, accusing him of the relationship of this girl, whom he disparagingly called not Rodopis but Doricha. Sappho prayed with angry lyrics to Aphrodite for her brother to return safe and with some nuggets of wealth. The famous ode composed by Sappho in her desperate attempt to snatch her brother Haraxos from the clutches of the famous Greek partner of the same name from the Nile Delta, which led many of her lovers to financial ruin, was the following. Your bones became dust a long time ago, Dorica. The ribbon of hair, the smelly clothes was dissolved in the soil. I'm trying to see the, the word for smelly clothes. No, it's not smelly, fragrant clothes. Fragrant with fragrant myrrh. The ribbon of your hair and your fragrance clothes was dissolved in the soil. With this, you once wrapped the lucky Haraxos both of flesh. You stretched out your hands to drink the wine from the glasses of dawn. What is left of you? They talk about you and will talk about you for centuries. The favorite white columns of Sappho's lyric, blessed be your name, Naucratis will keep it famous in the centuries, that ships will sail from the sea to the Nile. So eventually, Haraxos returned to the island of Lesbos with his beloved Rodopis as a partner now, pursued a career in Egypt. But when a love dies, life does not die, as well-known song says. Rodopis' life after her love with Haraxos is even more interesting. We find it in the writings of Herodotus, who had been scandalized because some attributed to Rodopis a pyramid of Mycene. Mycene is around Sparta, as we know. There are a lot of pyramids around there. So how was it possible for a partner to own a construction for which countless thousands of talents had been spent? At this point, Herodotus, who tells the story, second book of Therpius, paragraph 134 and 135, points out that he himself doubts whether what he writes is true. On the contrary, he informs us that Rodopis, with a tenth of the money she earned in Egypt, built her own monument in Delphi. We know Delphi of the Oracle of Delphi, behind the treasure of Chios, and with the money she earned, she built a pyramid a little smaller than that of the Khafre pyramid of Egypt, and a little bigger than that of the pyramid of Mycene. Let's read the history report about the beautiful partner. It says that seeing me speak, he is concerning the Rodopis, innumerable talents spent. However, there is a continuation in our history which is not told to us by Herodotus, but by Strabo, book 17, chapter 1, paragraph 33. Many years later, however, when Strabo traveled to the Mediterranean and saw the heads of the sphinxes just emerging from the sand of the desert, they showed him a pyramid of Mycene, naming it the Tomb of the Partner. They said that it was made by the lovers of Rodopis. Once upon a time, Rodopis was bathing, and an eagle grabbed her sandal and flew to Memphis. From above, he let the sandal fall into the arms of Pharaoh Psammeticho, who delivered justice under the sky. The Pharaoh noticed the beauty of the sandal. Impressed by the elegance of the shoe, he believed that it was a sign from the god Horus. He sent men to look for the woman to whom the sandal belonged in every corner of Egypt. So he made his followers go all over Egypt looking for the girl whose sandal matched her leg. This is a little bit of a Cinderella glass slipper type of thing, isn't it? But that's exactly what happened, according to Herodotus. So her story, told to us by Strabo, is the primary core of the famous fairy tale Cinderella. Her boss appreciated her and even gave her a pair of richly decorated sandals, but she was sleepy and slept most of the time at home, so the other slaves who envied Rodopis mistreated her and gave her to do the heavier work. They finally found her in now Krati of Egypt, and she became Pharaoh's wife. This is a Cinderella story, isn't it? When Rodopis died, the Pharaoh erected a pyramid in her tomb. It was the Roman writer Claudius Aullianus in Varia Historia 1333 quotes a version of this ancient Cinderella. In Delphi, during the years of Plutarch, the guide still showed the empty space where once were the skewers, which the partner of Rodopis had dedicated to the oracle. Free and rich now, with a tenth of her profit, Rodopis ordered the construction of a project that had not been designed and dedicated to a temple by anyone else. She did so because she had been overwhelmed by the desire to leave a memory of herself in Greece. Scandal, some shouted, but the answer was easy. Looking up from the plateau, the gilded statue of Pyrrhus could be seen, which the ordinary Stoic had contemptuously called the triumph of Greek contempt. These are narrated by the Greeks, but the Egyptians, who are in everything the universe of the Greeks, as Herodotus says, and always referred to ancient times, remember a different story. Manethon, in his Epitome of the Pharaohs, names at the end of the 6th dynasty Queen Nitorchri, the noblest and most beautiful among the women of her time, with light skin, who built the third pyramid, his so-called Pyramid Mykerinu. Nitorchis was also a brave warlord. Her reign ended in a spasm. To avenge her brother's death, she drowned all his enemies in an underground structure. She was then locked in a room full of ashes. In a surviving description, Nitorchis is presented to be as blonde with rosy cheeks, and Rodopis means with a rosy face, as already mentioned. About 1,900 years passed between the life of Nitorchis and the partner for whom Charasos wasted his property, and about 600 years between the lives of Sappho and Strabo. It took so long for the Queen of Egypt to become a blonde Greek partner who had come as a slave from Thrace, and for the Greek partner to become Queen of Egypt again. They remain united in one pyramid, and time continues to verify the few verses that Poseidon dedicated to Rodopis. Quote, Doric, your torso is adorned with ribbons thanks to your soft braids, and from your scented veil, with what you once wrapped the beautiful carousel, flesh with flesh, to the morning cup. But the white, resounding pages of Sappho's anthem remain and will remain. Blessed is your name, and Naucratis will keep it until it passes to the immobile Nile ship that will go to the sea. So this research was done by Giovi Vasiliki. Information excerpts from the article from Eurotimi related to Rodopis, The Weddings of Cadmus and Harmony by R. Calasso. Cadmus, as we know, was one of the twin princes of the city of Thebes of ancient Greece, where they are buried supposedly under the step pyramid that I saw with my own eyes. So this is translated for you from a Greek article. I hope you found it interesting. It's a love story of a slave girl who was so beautiful she became the wife of a pharaoh, and her name was Rodopis, and she built a pyramid in the area of Delphi, Greece. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. Please support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.